time for Cramer and stop trading.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I continue to be amazed at this GW Pharma. This morning, Piper comes out with a piece that's a very important piece. Talks about that Dravet Foundation conference in Chicago that just occurred. This is for epilepsy, but they're saying, listen, it's not just for epileptics, of which, by the way, for seizures for kids, it's been remarkable. Of course, anyone who has the horrible disease of epilepsy, their parents will do anything, all right? But this piece is very special because it talks about how it could be worth this cannabinoid, GW Pharma, which is the only pure play on marijuana, which you can't make in this country because it's a class 1 felony, but they can make in England. And sure enough, they're talking about autism and migraines. The market size for this drug continues to grow higher and higher. It is a heavily shorted stock. I usually don't like to talk about stocks that are heavily shorted, but you know, the Teslas, the Netflix. But frankly, from what I understand from the medical community is that the current treatment for epilepsy is so awful and has so many side effects versus the success of this, that this one continues to work higher. Remember, medical marijuana has not succeeded in this country in part because the doctors don't like to prescribe it because it is not uniform. Another secret gem in this Piper Jaffray piece is that the FDA is working with GW Pharma trying to figure out the off-label uses, what to do. The FDA would love for this, for cannabinoid to be legal. I think they haven't said that point blank, but you're never going to get through Congress that it's not a crime for marijuana, that I can tell in the near term.
You've also pointed out a number of times this could be a potential inversion.
It's a British company.
If there were another company that wanted to buy it.
I frankly can't believe that it's not being bought by another. I mean, you know, you can't. Maybe if it got bought by another company, you could keep it separate so the company wouldn't be indicted for being a class 1 maker of marijuana, but this is a pure marijuana, and pure marijuana is going to replace, I think, oxycodone one day because it just isn't nearly as bad.
So then what's the hurdle for your affection for this stock to start translating to other pot names, so to speak?
Those are all, the FDA is not going to work with them because they're not pure. It has to do with a pure strain, not laced with ketamine, not having some other drug in it. The only repository of pure marijuana in this country is University of Mississippi. It's not going to come out anytime soon. And frankly, look, this has the potential to be like what happened with the FDA and AIDS, where the people who had it just rose up and said, FDA, you better do this. And the FDA responded. Dr. Hamburg is an old friend of mine from college. She's a very responsible person. She's the head of the FDA. She has to be looking at this stuff and say, you know what, we got to give these parents this drug for these kids, because the rate of success versus what the current course of action for, it gives you somnolence, sleep-inducing, sedation, doling, aggression, abnormal behavior, impaired social interactions is the current treatment of epilepsy. Right. This thing has had remarkable success in trying to curtail seizures. If I am a parent of someone who's a child,
sure,
believe me, I'd be in the FDA right now and saying, GW Pharma, please let us have cannabinoid, please. And I think the country's going to come around to that.
Talk about Mad Money tonight.
All right, we've got a couple